Hi, it's Tim England from Ask a Dementia Champion. One of the many questions I get asked in the workshops that I run for the public regarding dementia awareness is, what is dementia? That's a very good question, and I always address that question. So today we're going to actually explore that. And we'll be looking from two different perspectives. One is, what is dementia? And equally as important, what dementia isn't. So, what is dementia? Well, dementia is complicated. Dementia is not one thing. Dementia is an umbrella term that describes a collection of signs and symptoms that affects a person's ability to function well on a cognitive level, meaning their ability to reason, to think, to organize, and it can actually have quite a heavy effect on their ability to do day-to-day activities. Dementia is not one thing. Dementia is not a disease. Dementia is a condition. I want to stress that. It's not a disease. A lot of people think they hear the word Alzheimer's, go, oh, Alzheimer's and dementia are the same thing. They are not. They are related. Alzheimer's is a disease that causes a dementia condition. And Alzheimer's disease is not the only disease. In fact, research supports that there's over 100 different individual diseases that will cause a dementia condition. We will look at some of those as time goes on. There's 4 major ones that we will discuss later, they being Alzheimer's disease, vascular dementia, Lewy body dementias, and frontotemporal dementias. Plus there's other diseases that can also cause a dementia condition. Also, dementia is not just simply memory loss. Yes, memory loss is a sign or symptom of an Alzheimer's disease or some other disease that may cause a dementia, but it's not what dementia is. It is really difficult to diagnose. There is no definitive test, there's no brain scan, blood tests, eye scan, x-ray. There's no single test that will go yes or no, a person has this level of, or this condition. What else is dementia? Well, it affects the brain and only the brain. It impairs, as I mentioned before, our cognitive functions, our ability to think, to reason, to rationalize. It's progressive in nature. That means it starts off very slow, very subtle, hard to pick up, and over a period of time, months, years, the signs become more pronounced. It is not a normal part of aging, and I want to stress that. It is not a normal or natural part of aging. Age is a risk factor. Age is not a cause. Yes, the chances of developing this condition do increase dramatically over the age of 65. That is a proven fact. But, surprise to a lot of people, just because you're under the age of 65 doesn't not mean you can't develop this condition. You know, there are well-known cases of people in their 60s, 50s, 40s, even in their 30s and 20s who have developed a condition of dementia. Those cases are more rare, but they are there. Do not think for a moment that this is a condition of the aged. Currently, folks, there's no cure. I hate to say that, but there is no cure. Also, dementia impacts everyone. The tentacles of this spread throughout the community. Currently in Australia, right now, in 2020, there are over 440,000 individuals with a level of dementia. This is another important stat. That rate of new diagnosis is currently, there's a new diagnosis in Australia every 6 minutes. Let me repeat that. Every 6 minutes, there's a new diagnosis in Australia on average. That means every day, maybe 240, 250 new diagnoses. 1 in 10 Australians over the age of 65 will have a level of dementia. 1 in 4 over the age of 80 will have a level of dementia. 1 in 2 over the age of 90. In Australia right now, dementia is the second leading cause of death. And that surprised a lot of people when I share that. Currently in Australia, dementia is the leading cause of death of Australian women. And no one's immune. It doesn't matter what your ethnic background is, it doesn't matter what your age, it doesn't matter what your education is. Everyone can develop this condition at some stage in their life. I mentioned before that dementia is complicated, and it is. It's not easy to get a handle on, especially when you're trying to do a diagnosis, because one of the signs and symptoms of a dementia is confusion. And confusion isn't always dementia. There can be other causes of a confusion, and this gets misdiagnosed a great deal. We call it the 3 Ds of confusion, these being delirium, depression, and dementia. Now, let's explore this for a quick second. Delirium, what's that? A lot of people haven't heard of delirium. A lot of people have heard of depression, and a lot have heard of dementia. What's delirium? Delirium is classed as an acute state of confusion. Now, okay, what causes it? A multitude of things can cause delirium. Delirium can be caused by, lack of sleep, poor diet, dehydration, stress, polypharmacy, infections. What do we mean? Well, polypharmacy, that is just a fancy way of saying people's medications can have side effects on the person that causes a confusion level. Especially if you have multiple medications, especially for some elderly people who may have a large group of medication taken on a daily basis, can actually cause a confusion state. Infections, like if you've got a cold or flu, you're not working all cylinders. What happens if you've got a urinary tract infection, which is very common in elderly people? That can cause a delirium, which is treatable. But a delirium will look and act just like a dementia. Same with depression. Depression is another treatable condition. Depression has a lot of very similar signs and symptoms to what a dementia have. And the reason I'm discussing this very quickly is so important that you get a diagnosis. If you're not feeling right, or a loved one is seeming a bit confused, please don't just brush off them going, oh, they're just getting old or it's being funny. There could be an underlying treatable pathology that can be addressed. It could be delirium, it could be depression, it may not even be dementia. So let's try and find out for their benefit and for yours. Right now, I briefly want to explore some of the reasons why some individuals are reluctant to go to their GPs to find out what could be causing some memory loss or some confusion, because they fear that it could be the dreaded D word, being dementia. Yeah, there's stigma associated with the topic. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of stigma, there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of misunderstanding. And that just adds to the fear that someone may have that I may have dementia. They may not. They may have something else that can be readily and easily treatable, like a depression or a delirium. Another factor is media stereotypes. And what I mean by that is this. Anytime, generally speaking, especially electronic media, you see a story on television about dementia on the news, are they showing imagery of people running down the beach, hand in hand, living a great life as they age? Or is it someone in a nursing home, in a wheelchair, or in a bed being fed? And that's what they portray dementia is. That is not necessarily what dementia is. The media needs to get their act together regarding presenting dementia in true facts and really what it is. Yes, the impacts of dementia can be quite severe, but one's quality of life for someone with the condition and their family caregivers can be very good once we start raising the level of awareness about what dementia really is. Can dementia be prevented? Well, that's a very good question. And there's been a lot of research in recent years on that very subject. And the evidence is now out that strongly suggests that there are things an individual can do to dramatically reduce their chances of developing this condition. You can't guarantee that you won't develop it, but there are things that you can actively do to reduce your risk of developing it. And we'll discuss that in detail in a future video. Well, thanks for watching, folks. Please subscribe, like and share. Please put your feedback and comments and questions in the feedback section below. Every question will be answered as soon as I possibly can. Cheers and bye for now.